Welcome to Brocktember, that's right, it's 17 years since the great man passed this week, and we've got all Brock all day for you guys. We've got a lap that took 27 years to make.
It's side by side.
Mark Oastler shows you how a race car was made back in 1996. Then we have a look at Brock's and Holden's greatest victory.
Well, since 1969, Bathurst has played a pretty important part of my life. And look at the place now. It's changed tremendously. Nowadays, with towers like this, modern Armco barriers, new concrete barriers, a resurfaced road, it's really a magnificent racing circuit. First time I did this walk, I was barely out of my teens, and I think my knees just shook with fright. This is my 10th Bathurst Enduro, but I don't mind admitting that the butterflies are still there.
1969, the bearded, gaunt young man having his first drive at Bathurst.
Get the apex, not bad, not all that good. And just let it run wide.
Up mountain straight now. And this is where Brock is counting on the BMWs to be tough.
This is where the action is. Brock right on Scaife here as they head up toward Repco corner.
He's got the right line for the turn if he keeps it on hard. It's side by side into the right-hander, and Brock goes through to take the lead in the 94 Great Race with it sideways out of the turn. Now advances to the lead.
T-Mart's entry driven by Roberto Ravalia. A lap down then is Tom Walker.
He's got to get heat into the tyres first of all. Look at it skating out of here.
The did stop was car 36, the David Selden Dolomite Sprint, entered by the Orange City Leyland dealers. Not a very happy start for some of these trials, one of them ramming Jack Brabham on the starting line.
Grice is making a sprint of it from the start. Brock said he'd go as fast as they wanted to, and Grice must have heard the conversation.
The leader is Peter Brock there in car number 5.
Johnson second, Needsvitz is third, Brad Jones.
We cannot help feeling a great deal of admiration for Peter Brock.
Anybody that could win this race 6 times.
Outside Needsvitz and oh, look at that. He's absolutely flying, and he's well inside both Perkins and Grice, remembering that Grice finished with 2:16.
0-5. Peter Brock, that man.
Conrod straight. And Peter Brock is headed for victory. The checkered flag for the 1978 Hardie Ferodo 1000. Not worrying about terminal speed, how far he can get through the radar trap and what speed that he'll achieve in this last lap.
Down toward Celtic's chase. Crompton sticks it over the white line. Here comes Brock. 05.
Well, the latest information, having just said that, is that the Holden team pit is also on standby.
Here he comes. Don't say this wasn't orchestrated. A 1-2 for the dealer team. Peter Brock in 0-5 comes across the line to win the 1984 James Hardie 1000. Second place will go to his dealer teammate David Parsons in the number 25 car.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've all seen one of the most thrilling races possible at Bathurst today. Yes. Come on,
New slick tyres have been fitted. These are the special Dunlop slick tyres, which when flat can be run on a racing circuit. The car has been fired up once again, and Gossie leaves the pits in a time, I should think, of around about 40 to 45 seconds. Back to you, Wilco.
Thanks very much, Neil. Well, this just makes it wide open now at the head of the race between the Jaguar teammates Tom Walkinshaw and John Goss. In fact, that pit stop will put Walkinshaw back in the lead, only narrowly, from John Goss. 0-5, Peter Brock.
And a broken windscreen now for Peter Brock, and if he hasn't got enough problems today.
That'll be murder to see through that, and on the sunlight coming up pit straight. Turning left might not be so bad going up Mountain Straight, but across the top, all the refractions that'll be going through there, that's a tough job. You can see him bending and ducking his head more than normally, trying to pick a spot. He looks like he's got the worst of the bombshell right in front of him.
McLeod.
That picture tells everything.
They've been running as high as 5th place in the race, 7th on the track until this moment. But Peter McLeod and Graham Bailey in the Illawarra Mutual Building Society entry, after running such a great race here at Mount Panorama today, are obviously out of business as well.
That's too bad.
The dramas are coming thick and fast in the latter stages of the great race of 85, with 33 laps remaining.
Well, it's the voodoo hour, 3:15. At past 3, this happens so many times, and teams have been looking good and getting towards that less than last quarter. Like a lot of football teams, they get tired in the last quarter.
In the midst of all this drama, the Bob Jane T-Mart's BMW has made a pit stop and is back on the track and has not lost any ground at all because of the dramas affecting the others, so they're still running solidly in 4th place and poised right behind the leading division. .05, Peter Brock under difficulties across the top of Mount Panorama, but Brock is used to difficulties. He's used to conquering them. Neil Crompton takes a look at Peter Brock, the man, the driver, the businessman.
The peace and tranquility here is a far cry from the 160-mile-an-hour lifestyle that he lives. This is the Peter Brock personal retreat, the retreat from the responsibility of being Australia's leading touring car driver for over 15 years and rapidly becoming one of the country's leading business heroes. But this year for the James Hardie 1000, it's pressure that Brock has to deal with. Never before in the history of the race has Brock had to defend his 8 crowns with such vigour. Nobody has ever mounted such an expensive logistical challenge to the Brock supremacy.
For the boy from Hurstbridge, bringing the family to the peaceful outer Melbourne suburb of Eltham was history repeating itself. It was back to the old stamping ground where Peter grew up, a place where he's thrashed a few paddock bombs and just on 20 years ago built a Holden-powered Austin A30, launching his career. But does he get time to see Bev and the 3 children, Jamie, Alexandra and Robert?
It's a nice, relaxing part of your life, of course, to get away from the hustle and bustle of business. And being with the family certainly keeps my perspective of things a little bit better than what would be normally.
It's a fast lifestyle. How on earth do you relax?
Yeah, I'm just one of those people that seem to be able to do 3 or 4 things at once, and it doesn't seem to worry me too much. Relaxing is, I suppose it's probably more difficult if you, with the sort of lifestyle I have, than it would be for normal people. But what I consider relaxation to other people is probably not relaxing. To me, rushing off for a holiday or a few days swimming and fishing or whatever is relaxing. But if people saw me doing it, they'd say, well, hang on, you're still fishing at 100 mile an hour. But to me, a change of pace or a change of environment is fine.
In spite of a tough year and what appears to be a number of knockers now coming out of the woodwork, the empire continues to boom. But does the anti-Brock feeling interfere with the racing and marketing strategies, and more particularly, does that affect you personally?
Well, sometimes it does get you down a little bit. I think that probably it's not healthy to dwell on that aspect of things, and I've never been a person to, I mean, I might voice or I might feel it occasionally, but I've tried to overcome that. And all I can say to that is that I believe that eventually that we'll have a product and a motor racing car that's just going to sort of sit them back on the heels a bit. So I suppose if you say what my reaction is, it's a great challenge.
Love him or hate him, he's never too far away from us all. His high public profile keeps him in constant demand, but business aside, he's happiest behind the wheel of a car.
You really live for this time of the year, don't you? You love Bathurst.
I do. That bit of mountain up there is is without any doubt the most exciting piece of road in the country, and the challenge of the race, and simply I don't know, it's just got nice energy, that place. You drive in there and you think, this looks great. You drive around that corner, you see all those transporters there all pulled up. Yeah, it's a magnificent time of year and a magnificent place.
It's even tougher this year. I don't think there's ever been a year where so many people have mounted such a strong financial and logistical challenge against Peter Brock to knock him off the top.
Yeah. Well, I think no doubt that Jaguar effort from Tom Walkinshaw's team, a team which I've observed, seen his workshops, he's good. And we've made an extra effort to try and counteract that, to try and combat it, so that in fact we're at least as competitive, and I think as well set up logistically. And yeah, there's a lot of effort this year from BMW, for instance, to see us knocked from our perch, and that's a challenge we're responding to, and I think we can do the job.
Do the job, Peter Brock, under great adversity here today at Mount Panorama, but as that story unfolded, what more appropriate time to see Brock in for a very fast pit stop. The windscreen is now out, and he's back on the racetrack again.
Goodness me, things are happening thick and fast still. 57 is in the pits. Bob Holden, by the way, he is still the Class A leader and has nearly a lap on John Smith in second place in that category, not the other way around. It is 57, Bob Holden, the leader in the under 2 litre category.
The James Hardie 1000 continues. The Jags are up front, but one of the leading ones is smoking. Shaw is in the pits. Neil Crompton is down there checking out the action.
Yes, Mike, Neil down here. It's all happening here at the moment. I've got people climbing all over the place. One of the crew is with me. Alan, what's happening?
It looks like an oil cooler's gone and leaking.
So the oil cooler has disintegrated. At the present time, there's oil pouring out from the front of the car. The bonnet is covered in oil. The windscreen is covered in oil. I can tell you something else that's happening as well. There's been a flag given to Peter Brock by the clerk, of course, to say that he must report to the pits, because if you remove your windscreen in Australian touring car racing, you must remove the rear window as well. So another stop is imminent for Peter Brock. You can see what they've got to do inside there at the moment. The engine sounds dreadful. I would say that the race is run for Tom Walkinshaw.
Well, that indeed is a pity. You're a fellow who has put it all together so well.
It's worth a try. Brock's got to come in and fix his windscreen.
You can hear all the extraneous chat going on.
They're panicking a little bit, but nevertheless, why wouldn't you with the effort that's gone into it? But I think they're in a lot of trouble if it's, as Neil says, a broken oil cooler. That means it's pressurized by the engine oil pumps and will just keep squirting out, and if nothing else, they'll run out of oil. But at the level that he was dropping oil, he was black flag material anyway, and now we have officialdom coming to the fore and informing us that Peter Brock has to return for his back window to be taken out.
Well, Brock hasn't taken heed of that, because he's just gone past our commentary position on the start-finish line to take in another lap.
Those black flags are awfully hard to see in the sunlight.
Still working frantically on the Walkinshaw car. You may have overheard one of the crewmen say it's worth a try, because Brock also has to come in.
Yes, they may be able to short-circuit the oil cooler. This is what the Dick Johnson team did earlier. Easier said than done. It's a plumbing nightmare on most of these cars, and with the big V12 engine taking up so much of the under bonnet area, these fellows are getting their arms burnt. They've got steam going everywhere off the radiator.
On the racetrack at the moment, with Brock still out there, he is about 50 seconds in arrears of John Goss, who again is the race leader, but we now understand that Brock will come in next time round to have that window removed.
Well, every car is on the same lap at the moment, 134 laps down, the first 4 cars, with this seesaw battle going on in the pits.
Well, I think we can deduct 1 from the total there for Walkinshaw. That puts him behind the 8 ball, and that would put Goss, Brock and Ravalia all on the lead lap, but Brock yet to stop again.
you'll see an awfully fast rear window come out of a Commodore. I would say it'll be about 2 feet loads. There's some person's going to go in. There's no passenger seat, and I can just see one of those agile HDT team fellows jumping in there and going
both kaboom. Pop out the back. Lock up, and here comes Jim Richards. Oh, the rear wheel.
He's popped a tyre too. You can see him coming in. It's shredded. So drama upon drama, as Alan indicated, when you get to this peculiar time of the day in this special 1000k race at Bathurst, the dramas that unfold. JPS crew very quickly on the side, or the crumpled side of their 635. They're coming in now with Tony Longhurst helping as well. We're also keeping an eye on the Brock team.
Brock has just come into the pit lane, so he'll be here in a moment. Yes, here he is, going flat out.
He's taking the pit lane.
Down the curbs.
Oh, they've got the Grice cars gone into strife up in GTX Bend by the look of it.
Decided to have a brake fade.
Okay, it's all happening, as you can see. Watch the team go to work. This is where he takes on some passengers just for a moment.
Boom.
Boom. Goodbye, Pete. Super kick.
Close the door and away he goes.
Well, the Collingwood supporters will give him full marks. That team is...
quickest pit stop of all time. No tyres, no fuel, no windows.
That's one for the record books. Bill Tuckey will be busy getting his notes ready for his annual
yes, it only takes
recoup.
Only 11 and a half months. Okay, John Harvey looks delighted. They're all treating us at a bit of fun. It's the old Aussie way, I guess, of when faced with a problem, put the crew in the car.
Okay, let's just recap for you. On the racetrack, John Goss, Jaguar number 10, is the race leader. 05, Peter Brock in second place. They're both on lap 135, as is the third place getter, car 21, the BMW, the Bob Jane T-Mart's entry, driven by Roberto Ravaglia. A lap down then is Tom Walkinshaw after all those oil troubles in the number 8 Jaguar. And Jim Richards in trouble, having made one pit stop just now for a tyre change, a wheel change, is in some further bother out on the track, and several laps down now on the race lead.
Also having a spot of bother trying to pick up the 21 Bob Jane T-Mart's entry, Roberto Ravaglia and Johnny Cicotto. So everything has happened within the last 10 minutes of this race.
25 laps to go, and on the same lap, Gossie will be monitoring like crazy the Holden pit boards, plus his own, and Peter will know exactly how far to go.
We saw Alan Grice's number 6 car, the Kmart's car, off at the top of the mountain. This is how it happened. The boot is up, sprung by a crunch on the wall, and he steers it neatly through the gateway.
Excellent timing.
Standing by in the pit area with John Harvey is Neil Crompton.
Thanks very much, Mike Raymond. Well, I'm busier than a one-arm bricklayer in Beirut here at the moment. I've got so many blokes running around. John Harvey, you guys have got to be the best rear window smashers in the business.
Well, that's true. The windscreen cracked, and we brought Peter in to remove that for safety reasons. Also gave Peter my helmet, which has a full visor and also is tinted. And then off he went. The clerk at the course then informed me that apparently it's in the regulations that if the front windscreen is removed, that we must remove the rear. Now, unfortunately for them, they're a little bit behind the times because the tests have been conducted by GM at Lang Lang Proving Ground, and it would have been quite safe to leave the rear window in the car. But however, that's the regulations. They threatened to black flag the car, which I guess they did. And so we're up and away again now.
Have you ever seen a James Hardie like this one?
No, I don't think so, no.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is.
We'll let you get back to it. Whilst Peter was in the pits, Jim Richards came in as well, and you saw that. That stop was 28 seconds. Incidentally, the Brock stop, 7.5 seconds. Back to you, Mike.
Well, it's obviously quicker to change the rear screen, but there are real problems for the JRA number 8 Jaguar, driven by Tom Walkinshaw. They've apparently affected their repairs. Now they're adding oil to the engine.
So the car on the leaderboard has dropped down now to 4th. Gary?
Yes, and up the head of the field, Johnny Goss still in car 10. Jaguar leads from 21. Ravalia in the BMW, and third now is 05 Peter Brock, and the gap from the leader, John Goss, to the third place getter, Peter Brock, is 1 minute and 11 seconds, and with...
a minute a lap.
Yeah.
Second a lap.
Second a lap, and that's not impossible with unexpected pit stops and all sorts of dramas happening on the racetrack.
You can see the legs of the Jag there, and quite honestly, I think Gossi would have to have bad luck not to be able to hold off Peter Brock at this stage.
Johnny Goss leads the great race, but stalking him is the king of the mountain, Peter Brock. Panorama, Peter Brock continues to chase the race leader, Johnny Goss. He's got that gap down to 35.5 seconds.
Michael, apparently Goss is having awful trouble with that seat that's been loose for a large part of the race now, the number 10 Jaguar, and it's occupying so much of his time to try and maintain his position in the car. That's probably why this gap is being eaten up by Peter Brock.
Well, that due respect to Gossi's problems, that would be a real nervy thing to have. We've heard the phrase driving by the seat of your pants, and when those seats are bolted literally to the floor, there's no cushion in them, and we do get our guidance through our backsides, and to have the seat shifting around would not be pleasant at all.
Well, at those forces, you've got to be able to brace yourself tight against the seat.
Exactly.
If you can't do that, you're in trouble.
Nevertheless, that it won't be deterring Peter Brock. He still sees the checkered flag, or would like to see it, and not backing off for 1 second. Cars will be moving a lot faster on their lower tanks. Fuel load being used up. Just 10 laps to go.
Peter Brock in 05, still placed second on the racetrack. Jimmy Richards at this stage placed 5th, a couple of laps down on Peter Brock. There's the gap between first and second. That's John Goss to Peter Brock, 33.4 seconds. And Richards has clung to the back of the bumper of the 05 car for the last 10 laps. Crowd still giving Peter a great reception on top of the mountain, and I think also John Goss will get a great reception too if he can lead Peter to the line. Here's Jim Richards pulling out. Just have a little look. There was no passing there, and nor was it intended.
I think Jim's just happy to be able to get the tow and stay in touch. He's not fooling around either. Neither one of them are.
Still an incredible performance from Commodore at the mountain.
You have to finish to win, Michael, and again another superb preparation by the Mobile Holden dealer team. Dedicated team of fellows.
And regardless
Engines
of what
run all day.
Regardless of what happens at the end of this day, Alan, you can look forward to better things next year. Talking to him the other day, he said he's felt like he's been carrying a trailer around all year behind him. It's when new regulations for the Commodores come January, he feels he'll be even more competitive. He says, just watch me in 86.
Sure.
I think a few of the other teams would go away from this year's James Hardie and just think about how competitive the Holden V8 package just might be for 86 as well.
Yes, a lot of what-ifs in motor racing, but what if the Volvo had kept going? What if Dick Johnson hadn't had an oil cooler fracture? What if the BMW hadn't landed up in the sand trap? I think to the people that are witnessing the first of our Group A trend, this race is only going to get bigger and better.
I'm sure of that, Alan. So Brocky still under pressure to try and bring them back. There's the split that you can see if you know the Mount Panorama course. Johnny Goss up in the box at the top of your screen, going past towards Castrol Tower at Skyline, and here's Peter Brock just making his way to the top of the mountain. The gap probably still about the same, 33, maybe 32.95, the difference between the leader and the man who looks like being runner-up at this stage. But I'll tell you what, the spurt by Peter Brock has certainly given the mountain people plenty to cheer about for the last few laps.
Well, standing so close to the edge of the track, they can see when the drivers are really pouring it on, and that's what these two are doing.
We'll
They've
try
got
and get
nothing to lose.
Sorry, Al. We'll try and get the Vortex radar trap on Peter Brock. We'll call it the air-conditioned version this time.
Well, GM and air conditioning's always been good, but this is carrying it to extremes.
One thing about it, he'll be able to keep a cool head in the situation. Peter Brock is able to do that quite comfortably at this racetrack.
I'm not so sure Mr. Chuck Chapman will be enjoying our humor so much.
I'm just wondering whether they'll homologate the 86 cars without windscreens. They've picked up something. Here's our Vortex radar check down Conrod Straight. Brocky, 252.66 kilometres an hour.
Yes, that's still moving. From memory, we were only doing around 255, 256 last year. So these cars are not that much slower.
They're certainly coming up for a closer finish than Peter enjoyed, the breaking out the celebrations down in the mobile Commodore garage. And of course, I think that Jaguar Rover Dealers Australia would certainly be doing the same, as Johnny Goss goes to the top of the mountain, heading up towards the cutting. 3 circuits of Mount Panorama still remain for Johnny Goss, Steve Masterton. Peter Brock looking for him heading towards the pit area.
Well, he's in the pits.
And after an absolute sensational run, Brock gesturing to mechanics what the problem is. And that now will mean Roberto Ravaglia will move into second with only a few laps remaining. And I think I heard someone shout, "Forget it." End of Conrod, something has gone complete. Nothing. Neil Crompton.
Yes, Mike, standing down here at the moment alongside the Brock car. It is a timing chain failure, the same problem that has afflicted these cars in the last couple of meetings this season. And when they lifted the bonnet, I could see the top off the distributor cap as well. So the fire's gone out on the Mobile Holden Dealer Team Challenge. Peter Brock, a very disappointed man after what must surely have been the drive of season 1985 to come back from so far down. Brocky, very, very bad luck.
Oh, that's disappointing. I'm not too sure just what did happen there, but
the boys are saying
it was, probably.
Yeah, they were saying it was timing chain.
Just at the end of Conrod. Yeah.
There will be no first lap accident in this last Bathurst for the Marlboro Holden dealer team. Brock, running here, is aloof from the threat of mishap. And this first lap is the beginning of a brutal race-long domination by one man and his team. Even on this first lap, Brock is determined to show that 10 years on the mountain have taught him to know it better than anyone. Behind Brock, the field with the Morris Breville car at its head can do little but let him go. It is as if there were no other cars on the track. A stunning, virtuoso performance. They can only hope that he will fail. As Brock and his team know only too well, the Hardie Ferodo 1000 is full of uncertainty. The pressure is worrying and always present. This is the way it was in 1969. This is the way it will be in this race. No one is immune to the threat of failure. It can strike at anyone, pursued or pursuer. And it is not long before the ferocious pace of the tearaway Brock and his Holden begins to tell on some of his major opposition.
Dick, you got yourself in all sorts of bother. What happened?
The tyre went flat. Well, yes, it just went down instantly and the car just went straight in the fence.
No control.
As soon as it hit down when you're coming into the dipper, it just went straight ahead.
Well, a few laps before that, you were in trouble at the bottom of the circuit. What happened there?
The brakes were still too cold. I wasn't in any bother. I probably could have made it around the corner, but I think it's safer to go around that way than take a risk in sort of hitting the fence over there.
As Brock continues to draw away from the pack, which includes his teammate John Harvey, cruelly and savagely, the next to fall is Bond.
Robert, what happened? I think it's the gearbox, the top gear. The top gear? Yeah. You're going to try and repair the car? Oh, I just put another gearbox on it and get going.
Will he be out again today?
I think so.
The carnage will be heavy before this race is run. It is soon apparent to the IBM computer experts and track timekeepers that they are recording the relentless widening of a leading margin that, if unchecked, will ultimately be the largest in the history of the event. Brock, seemingly, is oblivious to it all. And as his team readies for his first stop, there is no time for compassion. Simply and bluntly, fewer cars mean fewer challenges to his intended victory. This is the way it always is, for any driver. Behind, Marlboro teammate John Harvey has fought through the field to consolidate in second. Although Brock is far enough ahead to be safe from immediate threat, the security of a buffer to any opposing team is of vital help. Brock learns that the opposition appears content to let the Marlboro car go. Morris and the Breville car, the expected threat, is drifting back down the field. Moffat, the traditional rival, is conserving his car. Brock now has no doubts that, barring the unexpected and unforeseen, the race is his. As his co-driver Richards goes out, the speed of the stop and the size of the lead combine for the first time in the history of the race to prevent the early leader losing his first place when he stops. Harvey comes in to hand over to co-driver Ron Harrop. In many ways, his drive has been equally impressive. Unlike Brock, he's seen few clear stretches of track, having started from 11th position on the grid. Harvey, too, is an old hand, a real fighter. His race is to end in bitter disappointment, but no one knows that yet. Half distance, and the pressure intensifies. Morris, the second fastest qualifier, is now running into trouble. Other people, too, are suffering various setbacks. There are so many things that can go wrong. The Hardie Ferodo 1000 never fails to exact a vicious toll, and the steadily developing smokescreen from the Breville car spells disaster for Morris. For Morris, a tough and skilled competitor, the moment is a bitter one. He has lost so much time that the lead Marlboro car soon puts him another lap down. But Morris, like Brock and all the other drivers, started this race knowing the spectre of disaster is always close at hand.
an oil seal at the gearbox. Only a minor thing, but you know, gearboxes don't go too far without oil.
Moffat makes another stop. He's aware of Morris's retirement. He hopes the same will happen to Richard. And as Moffat goes out, Grice comes in. Still in with a chance, but unable to keep up with the blistering pace set by the leader. A pace taking the Marlboro car further away with each lap. Grice and Moffat still loom as distant threats, but as winds and light rain sweep the track, the front-running Holden increases its lead even further. As if to remind the Marlboro pit that no race is ended until the flag drops, the second team car of Harvey and Harrop goes missing. The smooth efficiency of the operation is momentarily disturbed. It's a worrying moment. The immediate concern is to find out what has happened.
I think that's what's happened to Ron.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened to Ron.
Is he back in the pit yet?
Yeah, he's back in the pit. I've just been speaking to him. He's okay. Just shaken up a little bit.
Where did it happen?
On Castrol curve, the right-hander going up the hill. Plus, to add to that, as he got a little bit wide, the road was a little bit wet on the outside. The car just moved the wall and went over.
But as I went over the hump up the back straight there and braked to the corner, there was just nothing at all, and just went into the fence probably about 80 mile an hour, I'd say.
The survivors all move up a plate. For most, with the lead Marlboro car now well beyond reach, it is now a case of lasting the distance. Brock is now back out on the track. His co-driver, Richards, has done his job well, having maintained the Marlboro car's first place.
You had no dramas or anything?
No, not much. It's running like a charm.
So what do you think it is now? Just a case of coasting to the line, do you think?
Well, it looks like it's just a case of continuing to keep up a steady pace, and if we make it to the finish, great.
The Breville car, which had ventured out again after repairs, is finally back in the pits for good.
Well, I guess it just is now, yeah, but I think we've just broken a rocker on the engine. And, it could be fixed, but you know, at this stage of the race, we're really nowhere, so we'll have to put it away, I think.
This race is one Morris will quickly forget. But if it's any consolation, this race has many victims. Grice, back in the car after his co-driver's stint, finds that the car is damaged and not handling well. The Moffat car, running nowhere for so long, prepares to sweep past Grice into second place. The Marlboro Holden dealer team members watch the drama. Better that it happens to someone else. Grice, so confident of a major placing, will end the Hardie Ferodo well down the field. And as the Moffat car moves up, the quietly running Jansen and Perkins inherit third place, not far behind. Grice resumes, now well out of contention. The end is now in sight. Moffat watches his car make its final stop, wondering whether a last-minute sensation will cut down Brock.
You are poised if anything does happen to the wheel.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a big if, and
Brock is just
cruising around like he's out having a very hard to nail it back.
But it has happened before.
Oh yeah, if he started to go on to 7 cylinders or got a puncture or somebody spun in front of him, anything can happen, let's face it.
There will be a sensation, but he, not Brock, will be the victim. This last stop is vital for the leading Marlboro Holden dealer team car. there is still time for fate to play an unexpected hand. Brock knows this only too well. This last stop, for just enough fuel to get him to the finish, will take an agonizingly long time, when in reality, it is only seconds.
Finally, when the last stop is finished, it's a relief to get back on the track. Things do go wrong. Look at Alan Moffat. He was worrying about whether I'd last, and yet he was the one to fall. He nursed that car all weekend, got it within 20 laps of the flag, and it finally exploded in a cloud of smoke.
It's a crushing blow to Moffat. Jansen swoops to gather the second place, which has been an unlucky position for other teams. But he will hold it to the end. A cruel moment for any driver. Watching someone else speeding to victory, knowing that your best hasn't been good enough. Moffat leaves the pits, seemingly calm, but only he really knows how disappointed he is. The failure of Moffat, the traditional rival, is the final confirmation that Brock will win this race, and win it well.
So all he's got to do is keep the car on the track. I guess, yeah. Yeah, simple as that.
Finally, it nears its end. The Hardie Ferodo 1000 has passed at record pace. Brock and his team have watched the opposition falter and fail. The win is a crushing one. To reinforce the superiority and mark the end of a decade of competition by the Holden dealer team, Brock slashes the track record on his last lap. It is an incredible exhibition of a driver's skill, of his team's prowess, his car's superiority. Come to an end. This race, this enormous achievement for Brock and the Marlboro Holden dealer team says it all. When everything was added up, they were the best. Simple as that.
Here's Hardie Ferodo, and now he has 4 victories in Australia's greatest race, Peter Brock. Thank you very much, Peter. An absolute dream run for us. From the word go, the car was really on the ball, and we drove it fast all day. We didn't have to slow down for any reason, and it was a matter of, I think, just outrunning the field, really. Once I got the lead and I drew away in the early laps, and I was doing it very easily, and I thought to myself, I think we're going to have a very easy run here today, but I couldn't understand why we were really that much quicker than the opposition early on. The car finished off very, very well. That's, I think, an absolute tribute to John Shepherd and Bruce Nowacki and the boys to build us a car which is absolutely capable of taking the 1,000 kilometres in its stride very easily.